Okay, so get this. On September 3rd, Google wins this huge landmark antitrust lawsuit, and, as you'd expect, its stock just rockets up. We're talking over 9%. But here's where it gets weird. The stock of their biggest rival, Apple, also shot up. It's this paradox that had Wall Street completely buzzing. And believe me, it points to a really fascinating hidden story right at the heart of big tech.
I mean, why on earth would Apple celebrate a legal win for Google? These two compete on everything, phones, operating systems, you name it. A big blow to Google should be a huge win for Apple, right? Well, it turns out the relationship is, let's just say it's way more complicated and a whole lot more profitable than most people realize.
And look, this wasn't just some market rumor, the numbers tell the whole story. On the day of the verdict, Google's stock just soared. I mean, an incredible 9.14%. And right alongside it, Apple jumps 3.81%. Now, to give you some idea of how big that is, the entire S&P 500 barely even budged that day. Yeah, this was definitely no coincidence. Okay, so to really solve this puzzle, we've got to go back to the lawsuit itself. We're talking about a massive battle with the US government that honestly could have reshaped the entire internet as we know it.
So rewind to 2020, the Department of Justice, the DOJ, basically accused Google of playing dirty to stay on top of the search world. The argument was pretty straightforward. They said Google illegally cornered the market, used these massive deals to shut out any competition, and even forced phone makers to pre-install all its apps on Android phones. It was, a full-on assault on their entire business model.
Now, you would totally expect the key to all this to be buried deep in some complicated legal arguments, but it's not. Nope. The real reason for Apple's big day, well, it wasn't mentioned in open court, and you won't find it in any public filing.
It's actually tucked away inside one of the most massive and most secretive deals in modern business. A completely confidential arrangement between these two, supposed rivals. Okay, this is where the story really gets good. $20 billion. Just let that number sink in for a second. $20 billion. According to court filings and what analysts have been able to piece together, that's roughly how much money Google pays Apple. Not once, every single year. And that is the key to this entire thing.
So what in the world is this $20 billion payment for? Well, it's something called the default search engine deal. Think about it. Every time you open Safari on your iPhone or your iPad and you type something into that search bar, it just automatically goes to Google, right? Well, that prime real estate, that default position, it is not free. In fact, it has become one of Apple's single most important and insanely profitable sources of revenue.
Okay, so here's how all the pieces connect. The US government pointed to this exact deal as Exhibit A in their case against Google. They were basically saying, see, this is proof of an illegal monopoly. If the government had won that argument, the deal could have been completely torn up, gone. But when the court sided with Google, it basically gave the deal a legal stamp of approval. And just like that, Apple's $20 billion a year cash cow was safe and sound.
So, a happy ending for Google and Apple, right? Everybody wins. Well, not so fast. You see, this was just one battle. The much, much bigger war over tech monopolies? Oh, that is far from over. And this fight isn't taking a break. Both the DOJ and Google are already planning to appeal parts of this ruling, which means this could get dragged out for months, maybe even years. And as if that's not enough, there's a whole separate antitrust trial kicking off on September 22nd, this time targeting Google's digital ad business. The pressure is absolutely not letting up.
This whole entire case really boils down to one central question. Is this $20 billion deal just a smart partnership between two companies, or is it an unfair monopoly that hurts everyone else? The court gave us one answer, but as these tech giants get bigger and more tangled up with each other, that line between the two, well, it just gets blurrier and blurrier. And figuring out where to draw it is more important now than ever.